You are a man of strength, but you're also a man of peace. And the fact that you are now also successful in getting this ceasefire done between Israel and Iran, I really want to commend you for that.
NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte praising President Trump's diplomacy in the Middle East, and that's the mood back home as well. Georgia Congressman Buddy Carter formally nominating the president for the Nobel Peace Prize. Carter saying Trump's leadership in striking Iran and brokering a ceasefire deserves recognition. So we'll see how that goes.
And in the meantime, that ceasefire does appear to be holding after a pretty shaky start. Israel and Iran are both keeping their powder dry, at least for now. Mike Tobin is joining us live in Tel Aviv with the latest. Hi, Mike.
And, Bill, you've got all sides in this conflict claiming victory at this point. You've got President Trump in The Hague right now pushing back at the news agencies who have run reports that quoted an intelligence report suggesting that the U.S. damage or the damage done by the U.S. strikes is not as extensive as the president says they are. The Secretary of State is traveling with them, criticizing these news agencies for running reports that were generated by a leak.
This is what a leaker is telling you the intelligence says. That's the game these people play. We dropped 12 of the strongest bombs on the planet right down the hole in 2 places. Everything underneath that mountain is in bad shape. Now, anything in the world can be rebuilt, but now we know where it is. And if they try to rebuild it, we'll have options there as well. But all this leaker stuff, these leakers are professional stabbers.
The IAEA chief, Rafael Grossi, says he wants to get inspectors on the ground to assess the damage, but he is in agreement with President Trump that Iran and its nuclear program are no longer the same. Hardline supporters of Iran's government gathered to rally in Tehran. Iran also executed 3 men they accuse of spying for Israel. They were convicted in an Iranian court of smuggling equipment used in an assassination. Meantime, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian is claiming victory and publicly expressing a desire to work out differences with the United States. Now, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is also claiming victory, saying that 2 existential threats to the Jewish state are now gone: the ballistic missile arsenal of Iran and Iran's nuclear program. Bill,
and
back
hopefully
to you.
the people in Israel can finally take a breath now that they don't have missiles coming in every day. Mike Tobin, live in Tel Aviv. Thank you, Mike.
Let's bring in retired 4-star General Joseph Votel. He's a former CENTCOM commander, and it's so good to have you here today. Yesterday afternoon, the IAEA director was on with Martha McCallum. And take a listen to what he said. I want to get your take.
What we see is a very important degree of damage in the 3 facilities. Natanz, which was the first to be hit and sustained very, very serious damage in one of the important centrifuge halls where enrichment was being carried out. Although no one has been there inside to see, of course, the conclusion is that the damage must be, very, very, very important.
General, we can pull up the pictures here for the before and after, and our audience is getting used to seeing these. But I think what the IAEA director was saying is that we don't necessarily know for sure, but that he says that there has been a very important degree of damage. What are you hearing, or what do you know that can add to this conversation?
Yeah, thanks, Dana. It's great to be with you. Well, I think his statement certainly is an important one, and it certainly underscores the significance of our strike here and the fact that Iran's nuclear weapons capability is not the same today as it was just a week ago or just a few days ago. So I think that's an important assessment. And of course, he emphasized the importance of getting people on the ground to look at this. I think the thing that's most important for people to appreciate is this battle damage assessment process that has now become kind of something common to talk about. It really is a process, and it goes through certain phases. It starts with very simple initial assessments, and then it gets more into the detailed total system analysis. And when we look at that, we do value looking at getting information from people who have been on the ground, but we also look at other things like the effects of the Israeli strikes. For example, them going after things like the conversion plants or the manufacturing process. These are all really important things that have to be worked in to the total system damage assessment here that really tells us what the long-term impact of this is.
Yeah, yes, people are impatient, right? We are used to like ordering from DoorDash and getting it 10 minutes later. That's not how the intelligence will work. If you had to guess how much time is needed in order to fully assess and get a good sense?
Well, it's going to be days to weeks, I think, in terms of this. Again, as soon as as soon as people can get on the ground and we can again look at all the information that's being collected, then the intelligence community, the Pentagon, will have the opportunity to to make a better assessment, I think, about what the impacts are. But I think it's very clear there's a significant amount of damage that has been done to the Iranian nuclear weapons program. I don't think there's any ability to dispute that. It's definitely different today than it was.
The CENTCOM commander nominee, who is going for the job, he testified on Capitol Hill yesterday about Iran as a danger overall. Watch.
I think we would all agree that Iran is the #1 source of instability in the region, the #1 source of and sponsor of terror throughout the world. At the strategic level, I think they've been weakened since the events of 7 October. At the tactical level, I think they've been degraded, deterring Iran and its proxies. I think that is a critical element of our national security. We've got to be in a 3-point stance, ready to go every single day.
Do you agree with that assessment, or would you have anything to add in terms of dangers in the region?
No, I do agree with that assessment. I think it's pretty accurate. Certainly, Iran has suffered some significant strategic setbacks. Their long-range, standoff weapons or ballistic missiles have taken a beating over the last 12 or 13 days. Their nuclear weapons program has been severely damaged. And of course, the third leg of their strategy are the proxies. We've seen what's happened to Hezbollah. We've seen what's happened to Hamas. We've done a lot of damage to the Houthis. They really haven't responded in this situation. We still have the Iranian militia groups in Iraq and in Syria, but they have not responded much. They may in fact be deterred by the actions that have been taken by the Israelis and by the Americans over the last several days. So that said, they still have the ability to put boats out into the Straits of Hormuz. They still have the ability to mine. They still have likely sleeper cells or operatives that can do damage out there, and they have a drone and cyber capability. So I don't think you can count Iran out here, although they have, I think, been strategically set back in a number of ways.
General Votel, thank you for joining us today.
Good to be with you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.